Chicago expected Angel Reese to be the franchise's accelerator. Instead, she's become the story the sky can't outrun. A turbulent week in Chicago laid bare the fault lines that have been rumbling all season. A star forward publicly calling for an off-season overhaul. Veterans bristling at the implication they're not good enough. And a front office forced to draw a line. The result wasn't just a social media flare-up. It was a full-on collision between image and reality. One that left the Chicago Sky scrambling to protect their locker room and reevaluate the future. The flashpoint arrived in print. In a Chicago Tribune feature that landed like a live grenade, Angel Reese didn't just hint at frustration. She put it in neon. "I'm not settling for the same we did this year," she said, according to the piece. "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and want to play with the best, and however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important to make sure we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year." On its face, that sort of ambition reads like a star trying to move a franchise upward. Contenders are built on demands. The problem wasn't a desire. It was a line that came next. Reese didn't speak in abstractions. She spoke in names. She signaled skepticism about whether guards such as Rachel Banham or Haley Van Lith, both of whom have fought hard minutes this season, with a caliber of backcourt she believed could contend. And she nodded toward Courtney Vandersloot, a Chicago legend returning from ACL rehab, with a note that sounded less like respect than resignation. "We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age," Reese reportedly told the Tribune. "I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we need someone probably a little younger with some experience. Somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before." Within hours, the Chicago Sky found themselves riding a storm they didn't need. Players who have spent years upholding the code, defend your locker room in public, handle disagreements internally, suddenly face the choice of letting the comments stand or standing up to them. Vandersloot, a two-time WNBA champion and five-time All-Star who helped define Chicago basketball for a decade, didn't let it pass. "Contrary to what people say or think, my age is not a factor," she told Sky Nation when asked about 2025. "I am coming back. I'm going to come back better than ever, because that's what I've done. I put myself in position to compete even at this age." Rachel Banham, a respected veteran who's seen her share of drama and durability tests, managed something rarer than a hot take: indifference. "I think I just don't really care," she said. "I'm so over all this." That wasn't a dismissal of the season. It was a weary defense of the team against a headline it didn't ask for. Ariel Atkins, who arrived this summer with championship experience to help stabilize the Sky's guard rotation, took a different tack. She defended her teammates and deferred to organizational leadership. "Ownership handled it how they see fit," she told the Chicago Sun-Times. "They have full support from our team." In a season where she should have been building chemistry, she instead found herself cleaning up a mess. The front office reacted in the language professional teams choose when they can't let matters fester. The Chicago Sky values the safety, respect, and well-being of every player, the club said in a brief statement. "We are committed to accountability, so our players can stay focused on basketball." Because of statements detrimental to the team made by Angel Reese during league-mandated media, she will not play in the first half a game on September 7th against the Las Vegas Aces. "This matter has been handled and resolved internally, and we are moving forward as a team." In the modern WNBA, you almost never see a team announce a disciplinary benching mid-season for conduct detrimental. That Chicago did it tells you how sharply the tension spiked. It wasn't the only time Reese missed the floor for reasons off the tactics board. Weeks earlier, she sat out with what the Sky characterized as a back issue. There were no precise timelines, no detailed medical updates, just the same day-to-day tag that hovers over many injuries. Compounding matters, Reese picked up her 8th technical foul of the season in a loss to Connecticut, an automatic one-game suspension under league rules. The whistle came after she caught Aaliyah Edwards across the head going for a rebound, a play officials upgraded after review. It wasn't catastrophic. It was cumulative. And it pulled her out of the Indiana game fans had circled months in advance. The national spotlight matchup built for storylines and filled with subplots. For as much as the social media conversation bled red and blue, what mattered most to Chicago was what happened between the lines. And here, the most uncomfortable reality revealed itself. The sky often looked sharper without Reese. The offense ran cleaner. The ball moved crisper. The tempo felt less forced. Coaches quietly remarked that the floor didn't tilt toward one player demanding touches, pressing into double teams, and turning the ball over. By mid-season, Reese led the league in turnovers despite missing significant time, an almost unheard of statistic that, more than any quote, complicated the picture of star leadership. It's one thing to declare the need for great players. It's another to lead with your play. Reese's defenders will say she's 22, learning on the fly, trying to carry the expectations of a franchise that leapt onto her shoulders the minute she arrived. They're right. The team traded blue-chip assets to craft a roster around her. That kind of all-in bet puts pressure on everyone. And some young players respond to pressure by using the only tools they have. Sometimes those tools are immature. That's not unique to Angel Reese. It is, however, the difference between growth and stagnation. The locker room rules are simple because they have to be. You can call out a teammate in practice. You can fight with your point guard in the film room. You can tell a veteran to move the ball during a timeout. What you can't do, what often ends careers faster than a cold jump shot, is go through a reporter to tell the world your roster isn't good enough. Naming names on the record, it isn't because feelings are fragile. It's because team sports require trust. Not the vague kind. The kind that says, the people next to me believe I want us to win together. And this is where the Chicago episode became about leadership more than performance. Reese didn't just burn credibility when she criticized the backcourt or questioned Vandersloot's value. She used up the goodwill teammates had spent months building around her. It's why Bantams, I don't care anymore, landed with the heaviness of someone choosing peace over protection. It's why a players' only meeting was called at all. Once teammates stopped shielding you in public, the fabric is already torn. Amid the noise, comparisons became unavoidable because the WNBA itself made them so. The league's marketing leaned into the so-called rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark as a commercial hook. Two young stars pulling massive audiences, trading wins, feeding highlight cycles, and giving broadcasters attention they crave. But with each passing week, the comparison has tilted from compelling to clarifying. While Reese has accumulated techs, suspensions, and now a team-issued benching for detrimental comments, Clark has built equity in a different currency. During her own injured spells, Clark didn't vanish. She traveled, stayed engaged on the Indiana bench, pointed out sets and huddles, clapped for role players when they hit big shots, and never once publicly criticized anyone sharing the floor with her. Indiana, expected by most to crawl through another rebuild, didn't implode when she sat. They competed. They found identity in incremental improvements. They leaned into Aaliyah Boston on the block, let Kelsey Mitchell cook from deep, and trusted Lexi Hull in the corners. Clark's halftime pep talks and diagrammed inbounds didn't show up in a box score, but they showed up on film. Cohesion left fingerprints. After a hard road win, you could hear Fever coach Christy Side's voice exactly what you saw. There would have been so many teams that would have folded with everything we've been through, she told her players in a now viral post-game locker room speech. We just kept getting better, kept getting tougher, kept becoming more resilient. We kept figuring things out. We've been flexible, accountable. We put each other in positions to be successful. We've stayed the course. That is what leadership feels like inside a team. It is not personality. It is patience. This isn't about sainting Caitlin Clark or vilifying Angel Reese. It's about outcomes. One star's approach created an upward draft. The others created turbulence. Fans are sophisticated enough to recognize the difference. It's why Fever games draw families early and keep them late. It's why Indiana jerseys are selling out nationwide. It's why the team's most loyal supporters don't simply chant for Clark. They chant for Boston, Mitchell, and the rest. Trust attracts. Drama exhausts. Meanwhile, Chicago's front office has business decisions to make. The Sky pushed chips to the center of the table last winter because they believed a talent like Reese, overpowering on the glass, physical in space, charismatic on camera, could become the centerpiece of the next great era in franchise history. That vision isn't dead. It is more complicated. The Sky cannot pretend this blow-up didn't happen. They also cannot treat this moment like an indelible stain. The reality of professional sports is that star players are graded on a curve because their ceilings are higher. If Chicago's brass believes Reese's ceiling remains worth chasing, it will continue to build with her and around her, but on tighter terms. Those terms will include accountability. The message embedded in that September benching was loud. Words have consequences here. Chicago also backed its veterans publicly. The front office needed to show Vandersloot, Banham, and Van Lith that the Sky are more than a Stars brand. The young players on the roster, whose development can be derailed by constant noise, needed to understand the culture will protect them if they do what's asked. Free agents and their agents were watching too. They can stomach losing seasons. They will not sign up for a circus. The league office isn't blind to any of this. Even as officials keep an eye on TV windows and marquee matchups, they recognize that rivalries do not flourish when they become personal. The Reese-Clark box office is real, so is the responsibility to steward it well. That means not pouring gasoline on a rivalry just because it sells better in the short term. It means letting the game be the story, not the officiating or trending clips from post-game podiums. It also means admitting that star protection isn't a dirty phrase. It's a business policy. Make sure the game respects its talent without erasing competition. For the Sky, the next few months are critical. They need a clear off-season plan that addresses basketball needs without capitulating to every public demand. Guard play is always a need in a league that's dominated by elite backcourts. Shooting and spacing still separate good teams from average ones. It's fair to pursue an upgrade of the one. It's not fair to communicate publicly that the guards you have are disposable. It's valid to want an infusion of youth. It's not valid to brush aside a returning legend's ambition and work just because the calendar flipped. These are nuances that good franchises thread because the benefits are bigger than a single season's record. What of Reese's on-court game? There's a lot to like and a lot to polish. She is one of the best rebounders in the WNBA already. That is not an opinion. It's measurable. Controlling the glass is a playoff skill. Her motor runs hot, and she can change the energy in a building with a single sequence. Block at one end, sprint, rim run, draw foul. That's rare, but the turnovers are real and they're fixable. Decision-making in traffic, reading double teams, trusting the second pass. They're not highlights on social, but they're the difference between a 10-10 night and a 20-12 night in this league. Reduce the fouls that come from frustration. Fewer technicals, more trips to the line. The player who embraces those adjustments isn't just easier to win with, she's easier to follow. It's also worth remembering what leadership looks like in the grind. Show up on injured nights. Travel when you can. Cheer when you can't. These habits might feel soft. They aren't. Teams notice who is invested when the cameras aren't high def. When players see you pulling chairs into timeouts and diagramming late game sets, especially as a young veteran. They give you something back you can't